Welcome. It's the Hobby Now with ZiggyNo. Special guest, Haley on camera tonight. Haley will be dancing around, smiling, and making anybody on YouTube smile. Let's not touch the computer, though, honey. Let's keep our hands down. You can just dance around and say hi to everybody.
Okay.
Welcome to Hobby Now. Tonight, we're going to be talking about great topics: Geoffs pricing, Breakcomp, and pricing transparency. Why is pricing so subjective in the hobby? Why is it okay? We're also going to break this down from the collector and the investor's view. Couple topics to bring to attention. Monty Club had both the renewal and the new membership this week. We're going to compare 2023 to 2024. There were some distinct differences. Fanatics Live has placed $10,000 bounties on 10 cards in their 10 contest. Really interesting. Just a little extra spice, I guess a little extra juice they're adding to kind of the gambling of breaking on the Fanatics Live platform. Talk a little bit about that. Let's have a sneaky conversation about retail and how, I don't want to say loaded in the wrong way, but boy, some of the retail is juicy. The NBA's got some juicy chases. Wimby out there. You've got color blasts in retail. You've got number cards and blaster boxes. It's going to be interesting, and I can understand why, right? We'll talk about that. PSA Set Registry. I want to talk a little bit about the Set Registry today, the power of it, and why do so few people understand the Set Registry? I mean, if you think about the hobby, I think less than 10% of the hobby, 1 in 10, really could understand and explain to you the PSA Set Registry. I'm not kidding. It could not just say, oh, I've heard of it, but could tell you what is the PSA Set Registry. 1 in 10. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the YouTube Hall of Fame, drama around the YouTube Hall of Fame. Some good conversations I heard. Conversation between Simon and Jeremy on Sports Card Live, hobby negativity, bad news, silver prisms, and firsts. So let's go ahead and kick it off with a conversation on Geoffs pricing and why people don't like transparency. Last week, by the way, today is January 24th, 2024. Last week on Off Center, Geoff Wilson came out and talked about his pricing and his plan for pricing at his new store, which I thought was pretty interesting. He has a no haggle policy. They believe they're going to price at comps and allow people to come in and get a good deal, based on comps. I think it's great. I think it's interesting that this became controversial. And some people were making comments about it. They wanted to negotiate. They wanted to be able to wheel and deal. My first thoughts on it is that I think it's idealistic. I think it's how we want to believe the hobby should be. I want to believe that. I want to believe my parents were to go in and pick up a card for their grandchildren. They wouldn't get ripped off because some dealer has it listed at, $300 for $100 card. But let's be honest, that stuff happens all the time. Subjective pricing the hobby is critical. In fact, it's funny. I was listening to Sports Card Lessons talk about how we went to a show and some people had cards listed and they basically wanted at comps or even more. And this is really on some of the CJ Stroud cards. And the conversation was around, well, why? Why is that? And part of it is people get emotionally attached to a card. They don't want to sell too early. They want to be the one who said, oh, I sold it for $100 card and then find out it goes for 150 a few days later, right? For some reason, they feel they're getting cheated. They're losing out on that if they sell too early. So we get emotionally attached. It's not about, hey, well, the card just sold for 100. I'll give you 95 and you're saving on fees. Well, I think I'll hold the card for the show. People just feel that way about some things. And that subjectiveness in pricing goes back to the collector mentality of, look, first of all, the collector wants, he's going to overpay for it because he wants it, right? Guys that come and go, well, you got it for 100, I'll give you 150. He's going to aggressively get it because he wants it versus PC. And some of us kind of respect that. We kind of talk about it. Dealers, I think they're looking for the guy who's going to do that, who's going to overpay. I think that's part of this industry. Is that good or bad? I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it is part of this industry. I also think this is why the hobby is collector driven and not investor driven. I know people are like, what? Well, I know what I mean by that is investors want to believe in what's the market value? What did it go for last week? If a card is worth $100 on eBay, says it's worth $100, like Geoff is thinking the investor mentality, well, we're going to go off eBay comps, through, market movers. That's a really nice, idealistic way to think of things. That's how it should be in a market sense. But that's not the sports card hobby, guys. Sports card hobby is not an idealistic market. It is an emotional market. In fact, the one thing that I learned early on in the hobby, and I'd say it's probably 3 years after being in the hobby, was this hobby is, dude, it's emotional. It's not logical. It will eat up the Vulcans out there. If you're a logic thinking Vulcan, Ferengis, they're going to chew you up. This is a dog eats dog world. I mean, really is a buyer beware. There's so many different thoughts from the collector's view. In fact, I had this note in here. Let me see if I can pull this up for you on the difference. Collector, the worth is what a buyer will pay, right? A collector will tell you that all the time. Well, what's a card worth? Well, a card's worth what someone's going to give you in cash. Absolutely. And it goes both ways, because that could be, I have $100 card and a guy comes up to you at a show and goes, well, I'll give you 60 for it, cash right here. I'll give you 80 for it, cash right here. You might take that. Or a guy might walk in the door and you might have a $100 card that you listed at 150. He might go, I want that card. I'll give you 150 right now. Right? It's what somebody's willing to pay for it. The investor, a card is worth the last comps. Right? Because here's what an investor wants to believe. He wants to believe there's many people like him trying to buy the same commodity, and therefore the card is going to retain, if not grow in value, right? That there's a desire. And here's the paradox. They're probably both right. They're probably both right, right? It is what it's worth, and what it's worth is often what it went for last, but not always. And that is, again, why you cannot use emotions and logic in the hobby. People will logically say, oh, well, I think it's this way. I think it's this way. Why is this card worth, why is a silver prism from this guy worth $1,000 and his counterpart's not worth $1,000? Logically, he's a better player. No, don't use logic. Don't do that. It's emotion driven. It's an emotion driven sport. So going back to that and Geoff's pricing model, what I said to Geoff, I actually said this to my DM, is that I think I love what you're doing. I applaud your model, but I think people will take advantage of this. I think they'll create false comps before they go into your store to buy and sell products, right? If I have 100 of one card, I might create some false comps that are higher so I can go in there and sell to Geoff at 70%, right? Or if I can create some false comps, and false comp creation just means making transactions go through on eBay, and you could probably make 3 or 4 legitimate looking like transactions go through on eBay. You go in and buy bin 3 items, right? Bin 3 items. Heck, you get a few days to even pay it. I don't want to talk here too much. I don't want to over talk, because my point is I've seen it all. Okay. And there's so many ways to manipulate in this hobby. That won't change for a while. It won't change for a while. So I applaud what Geoff's doing. I'm curious to see how he will do with it in the future. Will it keep going on? Oh, we got a boo, Haley. Shh. Remember, Daddy's still doing his video. Okay. Breakcomp. It's interesting. So Geoff comes out, talks about price transparency and using comps. Breakcomp has taken a lot of heat recently, and also taken a lot of great publicity. Let me shout out Sports Card Radio, Dan the Card Man. I think, did Neo talk about them, or Neo's going to talk about them? Several videos on Breakcomp. I've been a fan of Breakcomp since the minute I saw them. Okay, why? Because breaking is what I get involved in. Okay, I've been doing what Breakcomp does for years, but for myself. Okay, I go out there. In fact, it's so funny when Prism first came out. First thing I did is I saw Mojo Breaks had their breaks, and I started listing my spreadsheet of what Mojo's prices are for the teams I follow. And I went after second breaker and then I found Breakcomp. Like, hey, Breakcomp's doing all this for me, right? And I'm like, boom, I'm in. I'm a huge fan of Breakcomp. Not only are they helpful to me, they're helpful to the hobby. They're putting some transparency. Here's something people don't realize. Why is a case of Prism cost, the value of it, $15,000 of one breaker and $10,000 another breaker? Is there really $5,000 worth of value in that breaker? And what does that mean? I'll be honest, to me, I don't see any value worth $5,000 in breaking. I need a lot of value, and it would have to be adult value to get me at $5,000 worth of value in a difference of a breaker. I will tell you, I've been doing breaks. Doing breaks isn't, I've been buying in. I think it's important thing. When I say doing, I think of myself as a breaker, because I buy breaks. I'm the guy getting the breaks. I am the guy putting my nuts on the line to buy in these breaks. I'm not the guy who sits behind there dealing the drugs out to the, you know what I'm saying? The guy who sells the coke but doesn't do his own. He's like, man, you don't get high off your own supply. That's the smart breaker. No, I'm the guy who jumps in there and does this stuff. And I've always wanted price transparency. I'll also say this too. It's not that I want price transparency because I'm always going to buy the cheapest, right? I want to know about an average what the market is. So when I'm getting into something, I can get an average of what my cost value is. I also want to know that they know what other value is. So they're a little more competitive, right? I want that transparency in the market. It's good for everybody. But I will tell you, right? I've been doing this break thing for a long time. I know back in I don't know 17, 18. I'm saying this a long time ago. Facebook groups are really, really grumpy if you dare share pricing information between breakers, right? If one breaker posted his pricing, he didn't want you to share that, or you didn't want anybody else to know about it, right? They're very, very I don't want to say confidential, cautious about sharing it. And I didn't understand that. Now I do understand now. I think some of it is based on allocation costs, um, how much profit they're making. Some people get called out if they're overcharging for teams. Like you'd see, for example, a guy who run a break, and you see a lot of this kitchen breaking stuff where it's like $10 a team, 30 teams. So, the guy's making what's that? $300 right there. And the break is like, two blaster boxes. Break, three blaster boxes, right? So you got like $90 a product for $300 worth of breaking. That stuff happens because people just think, well, it's $10 for a team. I don't care. There's three blasters. I could get Zion Williamson. That used to happen a lot, and people start calling that out. So um, I've always been a fan of breaker transparency. I'm going on too long about this topic, but my point here is that why is the hobby so anti this transparency? Why don't we want people to know how much the card sold for last? I'll give you another quick example of this before I forget. SCV, and I applaud this. He did a transaction recently. He admitted that he took the eBay payment, plus he took money on the side for doing a car deal. And I thought to myself, that I love that. I love the fact that he shared that because I'm not surprised by it. I know it's happened before. I'm pretty sure I've been involved in doing deals like that before. I didn't think of it that way, but when I got in the hobby early on, I remember doing deals where the guy would send me PayPal, and then he'd send me from another account, PayPal, or his friend would send PayPal. I didn't care. I was getting my money, right? Oh, you give me $500 for the card. I send 200 from here, and blah 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 blah. Or I've had guys on eBay do similar things. Like I'll do this, but I'll give you extra money. I mean, I understand that. I never questioned it. Now as I've gotten more involved in the hobby, I realized, well, hmm, these guys were setting their comps, right? I mean, that's why they're doing it. They're controlling comp control, comp. Is it pop control? Comp control. It's comp control. Why is that okay? I don't know. I understand because again, it goes back to this. This is not. It's this whole industry really is about smoke and mirrors, man. I can't explain it. It really is. Will that change? Could we make this a regulation would make it a little change, right? So I will say I'm a big fan of Breakcomp. I want to see more people doing price transparency. I'm gonna try to talk to Breakcomp down the road about getting more about their roadmap, how they're collecting data. I also got some ideas for pulling in more data. I wanted to pull in retail breaking data, but it looks like eBay is going to end that. Let me move on to the next topic here. I've talked a little bit longer than I thought I would on the Geoff and the Breakcomp price transparency, why it's shunned in the hobby, and what will happen from it. Few things. Monty Club, Montgomery Club this week. First of all, the renewal was $150. If you're a new member, $199. I'm not going to go over the entire list. I think there's 8 products you get first access to. The only thing you get free this year is you get the full set at the end of the year, the Montgomery Club set. Last year, you got a little, I don't know, 25 card set as well. The year before that, you got something and some. You got a couple of free things. The free stuff is really going away. Like the $150, $199 you're paying now is really just getting you early access and a little discount on those feature products. Um, and then get you a complete set. It's getting tight. And I also get a sense, I originally thought maybe this could get me access to other Topps products, like maybe some basketball or football. I think that's less likely now that I think about this. They're pretty specific on the list of what's included. Cosmic will be on there. Museum Club is on there that wasn't on there last year. Draft Sapphire, Topps Chrome Sapphire. There was something else, another top product, but there was not Bowman Sapphire this year. There were several things that were different this year that were not last year. My other point to this, the reason I like the Montgomery Club, the reason I would tell you to do is it does give you kind of that window to buy or decide to buy the products they make available. So for example, when Topps Chrome Sapphire comes out, you'll get notified as a Montgomery Club member a day or two before and get like a 24-hour window to go make your purchase. And you have that window where they're not going to sell out in that window. The next day, it'll be open to the general public. That general public window will sell out. You also will normally get a $5, $10, $15 difference between the general public price and your price as a Montgomery member. So you are going to get the value of your Montgomery Club membership back. But that first access, no rush, 24-hour window, 12-hour window, whatever it might be, I really think is priceless. I'll just say that it's worth doing it. And I just want to kind of talk about and document the difference. It definitely seems like you're getting less this year than last year, but I still am happy with what I'm getting from it. Then actually probably listening to that and laughing. Fanatics Live came out with a $10,000 bounties. And I thought this was gonna be cool because I was thinking to myself, what we need is make breaking a little more exciting. There should be some bounties, some competition, some transparency in it. I've got a couple ideas on breaking. I'm doing on my channel, The Card Hunter. But no, Fanatics put $10,000 bounties on some of the biggest chase cards already out there. Like, for example, there's a $10,000 bounty on the Luca Black Prism if it's broken on the Fanatics platform. Let me just say something. Isn't there $1 million bounty on that card already? Like, how foolish is this now? You added a 10,000 just because it's on the Fanatics Live? That's just a waste of $10,000 in my opinion. And I don't mean that in the wrong way. Like, ooh, like if the guy opens that at home, oh man, I should have done this on Fanatics Live. What a bummer. I missed that 10,000. No, he's gonna get the $1 million bounty that someone's already got out there. Same thing with the Tom Brady one. The Tom Brady autograph 12 of 50, there's already a $500,000 bounty on that, right? So Fanatics is gonna give you an extra $10,000 if that's broken on their platform. I think that's foolish. Woo! Man, here's what I'm trying to say is why don't they put those bounties on something better? Like I think they should put bounties on Color Blast or on downtowns or up. And again, I just named Panini products. But you see what I'm saying? Pick one of your products and not just the super factors. I think the LeBron James is another super factor, has a bounty of $10,000. There's 10 of them. None of them, in my opinion, are achievable. The only one that I thought, I kind of thought about that was the Volpe. The debut patch has a $10,000 bounty, and I do suspect that will be broken up for next live. And I will say, when I bought into that break, I had that back in my mind. I'd love to hit that card. I really would. Would I go after it in a Safari? No, it's just foolish to do that. There has to be other value in that besides Volpe, and I don't think there's enough value in that class to do that, or that team. So bounties are out. I will say I'm working on a breaking project that I'm hoping to take to Fanatics in the future and get their buy-in on. I'll leave it at that. Sneaky retail, loaded NBA. So I saw a color blast of Victor Wembanyama come out of a blaster the other day, and I thought to myself, what the hell, is Monopoly out already? Wasn't Monopoly. This was a Prism Draft. I'm like, what the hell, man? Draft has color blast in it. Draft has color blast. That's got to be a big card too. Because I don't think you care what Victor's wearing. He could be naked in a color blast. Not that I want to see that, by the way. But you know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's a back picture on the side photo. That side photo they did of the naked guy where you didn't see anything. There's from the side. Could you imagine that in a color blast? Someone's gonna clip that shit. Sneaky retail. Number to 99, number to 299 in the NBA blaster boxes. Autographs as well. Nothing special in the autographs. But I thought to myself, football sucked. The football blasters suck. What football does have is their retail boxes are really sneaky good. They have a lot more checker boards in them, and they have a lot more green ice than they're supposed to have, or they say they don't have. It seems to me, just an early opinion of what I see coming down the pipe, a lot of colorful parallels and number cards are going to be coming out. There might be 1,000 different Victor color cards numbered to 99. 1,000 different ones. That's what I'm saying. There's so many coming in the future. And I don't blame Panini, and I'm kind of excited to be part of it. And I'm thinking strategically, where do I stick my toe in the water? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm concerned about the prices of NBA Prism basketball coming out. I'm trying to position myself. Victor Wembanyama craziness in the retail world is going nuts. I saw one box with my sons. We did pick it up this weekend. We opened it up, which I'm not supposed to do retail. I let my sons do it. My sons bought a box of NBA. We did not get any Victor Wembanyama in it, but it was a fun rip. So just think about it. Sneaky loaded. Keep your eye out. I don't want to. I hate retail, but NBA retail might be sneaky loaded from Panini this year. PSA Set Registry. How many people understand the set registry? Let me explain something. And I'm not a set registry guy. Let me talk about this. My understanding of set registry is that you create, as you get your PSA slab card, you can go set registry as a member, and put in your set registry certificate number, and it then registers your card. And when you complete a set, you get points. For every card you put in the set registry, you get points. Completing a set, you get points. The more points you get, the higher you go in rank, right? So let's say everybody's going after the 1952 top set. There's probably thousands of people who've completed the set, but as their set's completed, the higher their score is based on the grade, right, of the card, they get more points. And that's what gives them their rank. And there's people who compete in being higher on the set registry. And that is why a PSA 9 or 10 of some card from 1952, some no-name baseball player will go for a lot of money because it fills a gap in that set registry that pays a lot of money, has a great payout. And the payout is not monetary. It's bragging rights. It's set registry rank, right? Okay, let me just clarify that. Set registry is real, man. And what I mean by that is there's people who are very competitive in this, who spend a lot of money trying to be higher up on it. I remember listening to a guy on, I think it was not sports cards. He's a collector. I want to say one of Star Wars sets, and he basically sold off an entire set because he realized he couldn't be number one in the set registry, so he didn't want to be in it at all. Just for that set. Now he does buy a lot of other sets, but think about this. He's like, I'm trying to collect the Star Wars 1977 set. I realized the other guy's got he's got 3 of the top PSA 10s. There's no other PSA 10s in the market. I can't be higher than him. I quit and I sold off my cards. It's kind of what it was. And I'm like, damn, that is where you're letting a decision, an emotional decision, really drive monetary values, right? People don't understand that. So this came up with a friend of mine posted that he had completed I think it's a 100 card set, Monopoly Prism, Black Icons, beautiful set. I said, man, you should put that in the set registry. And he didn't know about it, didn't understand it. And I said, explain to him was you can, once you've slabbed it up or started slabbing it up, you can ask PSA, hey, please add this to the set registry, this set. And I believe they will do that. I don't know if they need so many requests. I don't know that information, but they will add sets per request. I believe you'll be a set member. I don't know, but I'm just assuming this. And then once that set's in there and you complete it, you can be the first one to complete it. And then other people might complete it. And then if your grades are higher than those, you might be the top person that set. And a set like Black Icons Miami Monopoly is probably not a very popular set. So maybe 5, 10 people in the entire world ever complete that. But it puts you in the set registry. And then maybe you go after some more master sets, more important sets where you get more points to get your rank up in the set registry. Please, somebody from the set registry, correct me if I'm wrong on all this. This is my understanding of the set registry. This competitive nature, me completing sets, getting ranks, ranking up. I also believe you get to something from PSA. I think you get access to their breakfast and some special card and national. I don't even know if that's true. That is the set registry. That's what's driving. Now, here's what I think is interesting to me. People underestimate how powerful that is to PSA's grading. And no one yet today has competed in the set registry. I think CSG has a set registry now. I think Tag might as well. I know SGC does not. And in my opinion, to compete against that set registry is not to just mimic it. You've got to do better. And maybe I'll do a separate video on this, but this is where I don't understand this. Like, this seems like a pretty obvious weakness in the PSA collector's universe armor. Somebody should just create a universal set registry. Okay. Bring a set to me, Monopoly set. Give me the grades. I accept grades from Tag. I accept grades from these 5 major companies, and I'll average the grades together, and I'll give you a score. And when in my set registry, the universal set registry, I'll give you more than a breakfast. I'll list you on some, social media. I will send you gift cards. I will get you access to something at some events. Give prizes to push a universal set registry. I think that if marketed the right way, right, where you collect and can market to the individuals who are sharing data, there's something that can happen there. And I don't know why it hasn't happened. I've been talking about it for years. People have talked about it for years. No one stepped up. And I want to say it kind of goes back to something I'm going to conclude with tonight. And that's the fact there's just a lack of leadership in sports cards. There's nobody trusted that you go out to and go, hey man, what should we do about this? Why aren't we doing that? Why don't we work on counterfeits? Why don't we work on that? There's a lot of, and I'll even say this, the most trusted individual name I know in sports cards is Dr. Beckett. And I just don't think he's wanted to take that leadership role. I think he's always kind of, look, I enjoy this as a hobby. I'm retired. I'll give you some guidance, but he doesn't want to be a leadership. And Dr. Beckett, if I'm wrong, speak up, because we need a leader. We need someone who's going to step up. But the hobby's not going to tear down, but will help guide new people, help explain to companies in the hobby some etiquette, some kind of, and I mean that, not rules, but some etiquette, some common just guidelines for the hobby. And I desperately think we are lacking that. But why is there no PSA Set Registry, Universal Set Registry? Keep that in mind. I'm gonna go back now. I'm gonna take the leadership thing and tie that into. We're gonna go to YouTube Hall of Fame. So YouTube Hall of Fame has got a lot of votes this week. I've been a big fan of this for the last few years. I've voted in the last few years. When I first found out about it, that was cool. The thing I like about it the most was just finding other channels I've never known about. And I really like other channels. It's a small channel. I like saying hi to people, listening to their videos, giving them thumbs up. I'm encouraging when I see channels slow off. I try to encourage them to come back. Um, I really, really love the community of just helping other channels out. I've always done that. One of the first things I did in my channel was to shout out to other channels. So I really like that about the YouTube Hall of Fame. I get to learn about a lot of channels I had no idea about. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this guy existed. But what I would say this year is that this is the first year I feel kind of on a, I don't know, feel different. Maybe it's also the first year I'm eligible as well. So two things. I've had mixed feelings about Sports Card Dad and his, goal to get into the Hall of Fame. I was critical of him last year about it. I actually will be honest with you. If I vote, which I probably will, I will vote for Dustin for Sports Card Dad, because I do think he's probably one of the best examples of what I think of Sports Card Hall of Fame. I mean, he meets the criteria, and I don't want to talk too long about this, but he's a collector and he has a lot of visibility where he can do a lot of great things for getting exposure on a lot of new channels. Like if he puts a list out, you're going to go look at his list. And he did a great job, by the way, of putting out a list of about 40, 50 different channels. And I was like, man, kudos. I will say, I don't jokingly, but he did list my channel, and of course he lists the Card Hunter channel, my smallest channel. Doesn't list ZiggyNo, my main channel, which I think myself, he probably doesn't even watch me anymore. I know we've had our differences back and forth, so I'm not surprised. But I didn't like, I don't know. I do feel like, I mean, it is what it is, dude. It's a fucking bunch of guys who just vote for their friends. And that's cool. I've listened to people explain that and justify. I agree with you. You should. You just vote for your friends. It's not about finding new channels. It's not. It's about having fun. And it's all it is. I actually think that maybe, again, if there was leadership in the community, if there was leaders in the hobby, we should create, a YouTube um, recommended. Like, here's the thing. I don't want to say Hall of Fame, but we should all agree there's certain channels that we'd all go, hey, this is a good channel. If you're new to the hobby, I recommend you check them out. And here's why. I'll give you an example of that. I do believe Jeremy Lee's Sports Card Live is a very good channel to get some great information on sports card topics. Not talking about the stuff he does, and he's a very transparent person about the auctions and stuff like that. But his Sports Card Live is one of the best channels for a dialogue from the collectors to whoever his guests are, and I've always applauded that. It'd be one channel I'd always recommend. Another one, baseball card collector, investor, dealer. I would always recommend his channel to new people. There's certain channels that I think rise above kind of the bullshit and should just be recognized as they're not Hall of Fame, but they're just, you know, highly recommended. The most valuable to a new collector or current collector channels. And I don't know how you recognize them. I don't know if they want to be recognized in that way. I would say again, I know we don't have the leadership that's going to come out and do that. If Geoff did it, it would definitely be somebody he'd be sponsored by, right? Um, I don't know if Dr. Beckett would want to do it. I definitely wouldn't trust um, collectors' opinions. I wouldn't trust. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and bash people, but you see my point. Like we're lacking that leadership position. Um, I do want to say real quickly. I'm going to shout out Fernando. He's the only person who voted for me in the Sports Card Hall of Fame, man. I really appreciate that, Fernando. Um, I've been watching his channel for years, and what it makes me think to myself is the guy must really like me. I mean, that's really fucking ballsy to go out and vote for me. And thank you, sir. Thank you very much for doing that. Let me just switch into, I want to transition there to Jeremy. So Jeremy had this guy on Simon this week. I didn't know that Simon was the same channel I've been following. Simon did a thing on the National, and are they mismanaging their money? It's funny, that topic didn't even come up because I think he overreacted. I don't think the National was mismanaging money. I think he just overreacted on some financials that he saw. But he's a really interesting thought, has some really interesting content on his channel. Simon something numbers, something like you guys can find him, go to Sports Card Live. I might drop a link below if I remember. Um, what I found was interesting is that Jeremy had this guy on because he's an MBN. I thought to myself, an interesting bar. I mean, the guy admitted he came back to the hobby in 2020. I liked his point of view. They had some interesting conversational topics. I wish I don't know. I don't want to say I want to be on Jeremy's show because that would come across the wrong way. I'd like to have Jeremy on my show maybe, or have a conversation with Jeremy, because there's a certain areas I think he could just take it to the next step and just get a look, find out a little bit more information. They had a great, and I'll give you an example. They both were talking about hobby negativity and hobby bad news. And Jeremy did a great example explaining the difference. He goes, if somebody steals a car at the National, that's negative. It's hobby bad news, but we need to talk about it. If some guy wants to get on and tell you how the hobby's crashing, the hobby's falling apart, best buying sports cards is terrible, that's hobby negativity. Very good definition. But I think it depends on how the messages are delivered. Okay. And again, I don't want to get into a debate here with it, but I think the problem here, guys, is that again, there's no, as they even mentioned here, there's no exclusive source you can go out to and find out statistically what is the condition of the hobby, right? Like if you want to find out what were the sales at the Dallas card show last week compared to the sales the previous times, no one's going to give you that information. It's not publicly available. Each dealer's going to tell you what they want to tell you. Oh, it's a great show for me. Great show for me. Best show ever. Best show ever. You don't know, right? Um, so a lot of it is kind of like I give the red pill an example. It's like the Matrix. A lot of us buy into the fact that if you if you're too honest about stuff, if you honestly would tell people, look, guys, here's the reality. You're going to buy a car that is most likely going to go down in value consistently over time. Okay. You're going to pay $100 this car day. In the next few months, it might go up and down like this, but over time, it's going to go down. If we were all that honest, this hobby would have a screeching halt, right? And I think it even comes back to people go, why do we continue to go through this whole loop? Why do we continue to spend so much money for the first card? The answer is it goes back to what I said before. It's emotions. It's not logic. It's because the stats are there, the numbers are there. If you want to be an investor, investors can tell you you can short the hell of the hobby if you could short sell. If I come out right now and start selling you Wimbies, if I could start selling Wimbies right now at $800 raw, let me sell them, baby. Sell them all. Think about it. I can just sell them, and then I get 6 months to actually fulfill the sales of that by paying and buying the ones being broken. I'd be rich every time in this hobby, right? That's the true investor. But we can't do that, can we? No. Does it make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So I've gone really long, I think, in this video tonight. But I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling this is a pretty good conversation. Last thing I'll just mention. What am I doing in the hobby? Well, I need to I think I did a video earlier on about the card hunter. I got a PSA coming in, PSA order coming in Friday. I'm super excited about. I'm sending out cards to PSA this week via my supper, by the way, not directly to PSA. Sending out cards to ComC. I've been using ComC to sell on eBay. I use DC Sports. I use ComC. I've been using consigning to eBay through both of them. Why? I like the transaction. I like moving the stuff, getting it going. Why should I not do it on my own eBay channel? I don't know. I have my own eBay store. I'm thinking about closing that because should I close it? I don't know, man. Like, why do I have my own eBay store if I'm not listing it by listing other people's channels, right? I listed ComC and I listed DC Sports. Why is that? I mean, I know the answer in a way, right? I like the not transparency. I like the lack of transparency that I can sell cards and not sell on my own account. And I don't want to be like, I guess, accused of shilling. Like, I'll show you cards that I've gotten, and I don't want when you see them show up on an auction, go, is that Ziggy's card? Is that Ziggy's account? No, you don't know. It's on DC Sports. Maybe it is. Maybe it's someone else's. ComC, I get the same thing where I send cards to ComC. I just want them gone. I don't really care about the value. I might see it. I might send a $20 card to ComC, and if it goes for $3 in an auction, and that happened recently, I don't care. I have $3 in my account to process more cards. We're just churn and burn, baby. Churn and burn. Right. Um, anyway, that's what I'm doing. Having fun. I'm getting ready. I'm not in any breaks right now. Had a really great safari in football, and I'm waiting for basketball. Like, comment, subscribe. Love your feedback. Is this I hope this podcast is making sense, coming through loud and clear. And I hope you enjoyed the beginning with little Haley.